Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ve bihi nesta'in. Elhamdülillahi Rabbil alemin. Vessalatu vesselamu ala seyyidina Muhammedin ve ala alihi ve sahbihi ecma'in.
In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate, and from Him do we seek help. All praise be to Allah, the Sustainer of all the worlds, and blessings and peace be upon our Master Muhammad, and on all his family and companions. Fourth part of the Addendum.
قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم.
He said, Who shall give life to decaying bones? Say, He shall give them life who first gave them life, and He is all-knowing concerning all creation. As was illustrated in the third comparison in the ninth truth of the 10th word, some personage may one day summon together before your eyes a great army. If someone were then to say, that personage is able to call together the troops in his army who had dispersed to take rest, and assemble them again in battalions, and you were to say, I don't believe it, you know well how lunatic would be your denial. So too, an all-powerful and all-knowing being, who out of nothing recorded and put in place with the command of
Kun feyekun,
be, and it is, all the particles and subtle aspects of the bodies of all animals and other animate beings, as if they were an army with the utmost orderliness and wise equilibrium, and who creates each century, or rather each spring, the hundreds of thousands of different species and groups of animate beings that populate the face of the earth, each like an army. Such a being can gather together with one blow on the trumpet of Israfil all the fundamental particles and original components that enjoy mutual acquaintance through joint submission to the order of the body that corresponds to a battalion. Were you to say, how can this be, or consider it unlikely, it would be idiotic lunacy. It sometimes happens in the Quran that, in order to impress upon the heart the wondrous deeds He will perform in the hereafter, and to prepare the mind for acceptance of them, Allah Almighty mentions the wondrous deeds He performs in this world as a kind of preparation. Alternatively, He may sometimes mention the wondrous deeds He will perform in the future and the hereafter in such a fashion that we are convinced of them by analogy with similar deeds we observe in this world. One example is furnished by the verse,
أَوَلَمْ يَرَى الْإِنسَانُ أَنَّا خَلَقْنَاهُ مِنْ نُطْفَةٍ فَإِذَا هُوَ خَصِيمٌ مُبِينٌ.
Has not man seen that we created him from a drop of sperm, and then he becomes an open disputer? And the remaining verses of the same surah, the all-wise Quran thus proves the questions of resurrection in 7 or 8 different forms. It first directs man's attention to his own origins. It says, You see how you advanced from a drop of sperm to a drop of blood, from a drop of blood to a formless lump of flesh, and from a formless lump of flesh to human form. How then can you deny your second creation? It is just the same as the first, or even easier of accomplishment for Allah. Allah Almighty also refers to the great bounties He has bestowed on man with phrases such as,
الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا.
He who made fire for you from the green tree, and says to man, Will the being who thus bestowed bounty upon you leave you to your own devices, in such fashion that you enter the grave to sleep without rising again? He also hints at the following, You see how dead trees come to life and grow green again, refusing to regard as a parallel the reanimation of your bones that resemble dry wood. You dismiss the whole matter as improbable. Now, is it at all possible that the one who creates the heavens and the earth should not be empowered over the life and death of man, the fruit of heaven and earth? Do you imagine that he would make fruitless and vain the tree of creation that he has moulded with wisdom in all its parts by abandoning the supreme result of the tree? The Quran says further, "The being that will restore you to life at resurrection is such that the whole cosmos is like an obedient soldier of his. It bows its head submissively whenever it hears the command,
Kun feyekun.
be, and it is. To create a spring is easier for him than the creation of a flower. To create the whole of the animal realm is as easy for his power as creating a fly. None may belittlingly challenge his power by saying to him,
Men yuhyi al-izam.
Who will give life to the bones?" Then from the verse,
فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء.
"Glory be to him in whose hand lies the sovereignty of all things." We see that the index of all things is in his hand. The key to all things is in his possession. He rotates night and day, winter and summer, with as much ease as if he were turning the pages of a book. He is an all-powerful, glorious being who closes the door on this world and opens it on the hereafter as if they were two stations. This being the case as a result of the mentioned evidences.
وإليه ترجعون.
To him you shall return. That is, he will bring you back to life from your graves, take you to the plane of resurrection, and judge you in his majestic presence. Now these verses prepare the mind and make ready the heart to accept the reality of resurrection, for they have demonstrated parallels to resurrection in worldly processes. Sometimes it also happens that he mentions the deeds he will perform in the hereafter in such a way as to draw attention to their worldly parallels, so that no room should be left for doubt and denial. Examples are the surahs introduced by the verses,